Clubhouse. 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 Thank you. Clubhouse. Clubhouse. Thank you. Clubhouse. 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 Clubhouse.
Thank you. And away we go. How's it going? I'm going pretty good. You know, in case you were wondering. It is 3:37 a.m. on a Sunday. My close friend passed away several days ago, Tony, and I think that incited or triggered rather mania. Actually, I don't even know how to characterize that. I don't know how manias work. I just know that all of a sudden I felt giddy. I felt like I had a lot of energy. I felt like I had a lot to say. I felt myself pacing a lot, you know, confused, clouded. I think when Tony passed away, it just sort of sent a flurry of emotions to my head, and that kind of was a little bit overwhelming, which is why I needed to do a road trip. And that's how I ended up in Parks and Kukumajira. I remember, when I was in Kukumajira, I went to Bunnings in Forbes, a town over from Parks, and I got a tree, a branch saw, and I started cutting trees to clear a path, and that helped with my manic episode, because I've found that I just needed to exert myself physically. So I, cut down some branches and some trees, small sort of trees. The trunk was, basically 20 centimeters in diameter or something like that, or thinner than that, narrower than that. But I cut down about 15 trees, and really got a sweat going. It was lovely. It was really, really good. There's something about exerting yourself through labor that just it's cathartic. There's a catharsis at play in relation to cutting down trees. Just labor in general. It's a cathartic act. Working. I understand why people in my family cling to that sort of work. All of my uncles use their hands to work, and that's a great thing. I'm trying to think of the Tolstoy book. It's either Anna Karenina or War and Peace, where the main character, I'm going to call him Prince Andrei, I think that's his name. There's this, I want to say Anna Karenina. No, it could be War and Peace. Anyway, there's a character, he's bourgeoisie, he's aristocratic, he spent his whole life having sort of like this aloof, rich, aristocratic existence, and he was precluded from any manual labor, working out in the fields with the peasants. But one day he decides to help the peasants. Cut the grass, like clear the grass, like make hay with the long sort of winter grass. Hectares and hectares of fields, and like dozens of the scene in the book was just a group of peasants and this character who's an aristocrat working hard in the field, right? And the conclusion of that chapter was this sense of catharsis that the character got from a hard day's work. He said that, food and drinking never tasted better after, spending the day laboring in the field. There's a euphoria attached to that, right? And I understand how, people get comfort in those sort of jobs, because to them it's like, well, I'm physically working, I'm at work, I'm doing something, and that justifies, my pay. I'm physically working, you can physically see me work, give me money, as trade for this, act of labor, right? And it's either, pay me for putting a shovel in the dirt and, like shoveling out dirt, putting that in a wheelbarrow, making a pile of dirt, or it could be putting timbers together, right? And putting, framing a house, right? The fundamental principle is it's just an act of labor. Concrete in a driveway, what is it? It's labor. It's form work. What's form work, right? Putting a bit of timber together, making sure that the slopes are correct, right? Gosh, like that's all it is. It's all just types of labor, and that's what a lot of our community have been doing for decades, and we're transitioning away from that because that's the normal story of immigrants. They start at the bottom of the rung, right, laboring, and then they move up, and then they get a trade, and then in the lifespan of them, being tradesmen and having their own business, eventually they hit a wall where it's like, I don't need to labor anymore, right? I don't need to work with my hands. I could just get my workers or get my son to work for me, or if they're really good, they have their own business and they don't work. They just have people to work for them. It's a carpenter that has so much work that he doesn't need to do the carpentry. It's all subbed out, right? They transition from laborers to businessmen. And what I've found is that our family hasn't made the transition to businessmen yet. And I'm not too sure why. I feel like we're stuck in the 1980s and 1990s. We live as if we just came to this country. My uncle, Maroon, has got a concreting license, but he labors for a fella called Ronnie, who uses his son's building license to get work because he is a good businessman, right? So my uncle's putting himself in a inferior position where he is giving away his talent, right, to someone that's not as talented as him, but is a better businessman than him, right? So he uses his son's license. He gives his father the scraps. He treats it as a favor. The builder, right, that is using his son's license, basically makes a gesture to Saeed, like to his father, like, okay, you give me your license, I'll, let your dad labor for me. It is a cuck position, and he doesn't even realize it. He's so comfortable being in that cuck position because my father and uncle Charlie have cucked my uncle Maroon. He's so much more than what he does, but he can't sort of achieve that because there's so much drama in the family. And so he's afraid to step out of that role as the simple laborer because there's security in that, right? There's no risk. It's I physically labor, I physically do that job that you asked me to do within that 8 hours. Please pay me. Right? That's as comfortable as my uncle is with work, and that's was that was sort of passed down to his son, Saeed, the builder who doesn't build, right? The builder who gives his license to lesser builders than him. No, Ronnie's a better builder than Saeed. Sorry, that actually makes sense. Yeah. Saeed, although he's trained to be a builder, quote unquote, he's a poor builder because he fails at management. I want to be clear, right? I'm not having a go at Saeed and saying he's a bad person or he's a horrible builder or whatever. I want to be very clear what the criticism is. He is Saeed, Toke, Maroon's son, is extremely poor at managing his job site. His version of managing his job site, firstly, sorry, that's that doesn't even make sense. He does not manage his job site. There is no management. What it is it's this casual agreement between a group of tradies that he knows to do their job at a unspecified time later in the future. It is the most basic bestial version of management. Okay, so he's doing a house, and there's a concreter that has to do the concreting, and the concreter comes after the form worker, right? So this is how it's managed. Hey, cuz, sure, what is up? Hey, I got this job. It is at this place. Do you want to come and do the job for me? I don't know. How long's the job away? Oh, cuz, I don't know. Not too far, cuz. No, I swear to God, 2 days away. Oh, cuz, 2 days is too far. Can you call me an hour beforehand and I'll let you know? It just... I don't get it. You know, why he still insists to sort of do work so casually, right? It's basic. You should have learnt this in university. And schedule your projects, right? Beforehand, right? So if you're building in September, all right, work on your plan in, I'd say, June, right? Start thinking about a rough plan about how you want to manage it. All right. And then, if it starts in September, you better have your tradies by January. I'm not joking. Have them all prepared. All right. Because it's just budget and management. That's all it is. You have the money. Okay. You need to make sure that you're budgeted for the job. So before anything happens, you have to work out your budget. And then you cross-reference your budget with the tradies. Hey, tradie, this is my budget. Can you meet this budget? Or work backwards, right? Hey, tradie, how much should I budget for this concreter? 20,000? That's awesome. I don't know whether I should trust you or not. Maybe I should get one or two other quotes to compare to make sure that you, although I am friends with you and I enjoy drinking alcohol and perhaps doing drugs with you, I'd want to double check your price because it's a business after all, right? Check your prices. One concreter is giving you 20K. Ooh, he's my best friend and I love him. But another concreter who's not your best friend is charging you 12K. An $8,000 difference? Why? I don't know. Figure it out. Hey, best friend of mine, why is yours 20,000 and this non-friend 12,000? What's he giving me? Is he giving me something less or are you charging me too much? Be comfortable with having that conversation with people. After all, you're a builder. That's what you have to do. Manage and communicate with your builders, with your traders. Oh, and for me, this is absolutely an essential rule of thumb. I give the floor plans to everyone. Absolutely even people I don't know, just out on the street, we're working. Hey, cuz, come here. I just want to give you the floor plan because I love it so much. I just want to advertise the floor plan. I'll give it to people on the street. I'll go to St. Charbel's Parish in Punchbowl and give them the floor plan because I love architectural floor plans so much. I respect them so much because they are the blueprint for the entire job site. I need to know those plans back to front, but not just that because it's not a secret, by the way, right? The plans aren't this special secret that I keep in my heart of hearts. I don't covet the plans, right? They are a tool to illuminate the job so people understand what the heck's going on, what goes where. So every tradie needs to have a copy of it so we're all on the same page, right? Because otherwise, are we on the same page? Right? I don't know. Do you think your best friend knows the job as well as you do without the plans? Do you know? Like, so much of the job sites that I've been to run on instinct, right? Run on, quote unquote common sense. For someone to use the word common sense in construction, use your common sense when it comes to sort of like project management, quit. Because as a project manager, if you find that you have to, brush someone off and say, use your common sense, you are failing as a project manager and as a leader. Go home. Quit. Give it to someone else. If that's the type of person that you are, if that's what animates you, you know? Every single tradie needs to have a floor plan. And if the tradie doesn't want to look at the floor plan or doesn't know how to read the floor plan, awesome. That is going to be your best friend. Oh, you don't know how to read floor plans? Cars, I love floor plans. Let me teach you. Here's what this symbol stands for. You see how the lines are slightly thicker around the house? That's because that means it's brick, right? And you see these little squares? That's a room. That's a wall. Right? You can't understand it? Well, just flip it around so you can orient it so you can understand it, right? But let's all be on the same page about the vision. What's the vision? It's what we're building. And where is that laid out? On the floor plan. There's something so special and so powerful about everyone being on the same page, unison, synchronicity on the job site, right? Everyone needs to have that floor plan and everyone needs to understand it. I'd go a step further and I'd put a floor plan on every level, right? So let's just say you're building a duplex, right? Side unit 1, unit 2, right? Put the floor plan for unit 1 in unit 1, put the floor plan for unit 2 in unit 2 up on the wall, right? Level 1, a floor plan, level 2 on level 2, floor plan, right? In the hallway, wherever. So people can go back to it and reference it. You think it's simple? You think it's stupid? Awesome. Quit. Go to McDonald's. You're not made for building and construction. If you hear what I say and you have this urge to contradict, to be cynical about it, I'm sorry, but to me, I feel like that's the wrong attitude. And you'll fail and you'll come unstuck. Because how many defects and how many issues are there on a job site? You're inevitably going to have an issue, right? But if you come to the job site fully prepared, right? And you fully understand everything because you've gone through the plans, you've read everything, you understand everything, you'll have less issues. And the issues that do arise, you'll be able to resolve them effectively and efficiently because you got a plan in your head and on paper through the architectural plans. And by the way, how do you say it? Like write on the plans, like make your notes, right? Make notes on the plans. And if you're a builder that hates engineers and architects, right? And gets annoyed when you see something stupid that doesn't make sense on the engineer plan or the architectural plan, right? Don't dismiss the engineer and architect and then work against them, right? Because I've seen that so many times. People get angry at the plans and start spiting that piece of paper that they see on the table. What? These plans are stupid. I'm gonna do something against those plans. I'm gonna do it differently. And I just want to say, why don't you just speak to the engineer and architect? Just have a chat with them. They're your friends. Do you know who cares as much about a project as the builder? The person that created it. You know, the architect, right? They have a rhyme and reason why they did what they did, right? You shouldn't make an assumption about why something is the way that it is. Ask, find out, and by the way, you know, they could be wrong, and you could have actually genuinely revealed an issue that, you know, you brought a genuine issue to the architect, right? She resolves it, she fixes it on the plans. Let's just say he or she, they fix it on the plan, okay? And then they give you a new copy of the plan. Yay! So now that confusing component of the plan is fixed and resolved. Now you can hand the revised version to your tradies. They're like, oh, awesome. This makes sense now. That issue that we were ignoring is gone. Now we can move forward happier, breathe easier. Yay. You know, the position of the door is correct now, you know, right? And whatever change you make on the architectural plans, make sure that every single bloody tradie knows, right? Changing, you know, like door jamb sizes means that you have to change the door as well. You know, everything has a knock-on effect, right? Communication is such a vital component of construction. I don't know what else, you know, people think that there is to building than just simple communication and direction. You know, as a builder, you know the plan. You can see, you know what it takes, right? From the ground, you know, right to the tippy top of the roof, right? And everything that's inside, you know what needs to be done, right? So your job is to direct people and make sure that they do the right thing. And one of the more effective ways for you to do it is to empower your tradies by giving them as much information as you have, right? I see so often builders that don't give workers plans that actually keep most of the information hidden from tradies, and that never made sense to me. And it was always driven by emotion, right? Like, what the fuck does he want to know, bro? I'm telling him what to do. I'm telling him what to do. Why does he need the plans? It's absurd. That's an insecurity. That's anxiety, right? I don't want someone else to see the plans, to notice something that I don't notice. And so, you know, I want to avoid that embarrassment. Have a little bit of humility, you know. Communicate with your tradies, right? Give them a copy of the floor plan. Sit down and have a meeting with them. Do a walkthrough and take the walkthrough seriously. Don't just put your hands in your pocket, be like, oh God, I'm doing another walkthrough with another tradie. I'm just going to, like, you know, point stuff out and just brush him off because I don't care, because I want to rack at the end of the day. Or, you know, fighting a hangover, right? I don't know, right? But take your walkthrough seriously, have fun with them, right? Each walkthrough with a different tradie is a different opportunity for something, right? It's not supposed to be this tedious task. It's supposed to be, oh, cool, you know, the carpenter's coming over so we can talk about the frame. That's going to be awesome. I like, you know, doing walkthroughs and walking around and talking about that stuff, right? And get into the nitty gritty and into the detail and have fun with it, right? And keep everything in writing. Be transparent. Invoices, send them over. Oh, do not be casual about it. Do not be casual. When there's money involved, my lord, you have to turn on your businessman, put on your businessman hat, Because now it's time to be hyper serious. Don't screw around with people's time and people's money. You're a builder, you have a budget, you're getting money from the client or from the bank. Don't misuse that power and run away with the money. Don't think that, I can underpay this tradie because I don't like him, so I'm going to save this much money. That's disgusting. It's always, okay, that tradie did a horrible job, but I still have to pay them 100% of the invoice. Sorry. Next time, don't hire them. Don't you dare undercut a fucking tradie. That's a fucking disgusting practice, and I hate it. I hate it because it's an abuse of power. Because the job's already done and they're desperate for money, and you've got it, you don't care, right? $20,000 quote, $20,000 invoice. Fuck that guy. He did $18,000 job. I'm only going to give him $18K, right? And you put this person in a position where it's harder for them to reclaim that little bit of money because it's just embarrassing at that point. It's abusive, it's disgusting, and it's a poor way for you to manage your tradies. Communicate with them, love them, be compassionate, be open, right? Be nice, manage your job better. Scheduling is such an important component of it, of building and construction. And that's where a lot of people come unstuck. Delays have a knock-on effects for other tradies. But you have to be adaptable, all right? The one thing that I can tell you about delays and that knock-on effect is once you have the situation where tradies are working on top of tradies, so let's just say the carpenter's delayed, so it delays the plastering, and you want to get the painter in, and as the plasterer is sanding, a painter's coming basically behind him and painting, right? That's a rush job, and that's not good, right? That's not good, and that's not ideal, but I get how that just has to happen. But consider this, right? When you have a bunch of tradies jammed in one unit, one house or whatever, working on top of each other to rush to make the deadline, they're now rushing and they're now in an anxious state, and it's more susceptible for and in that state, it's more susceptible for defects, problems, and poor quality work. So what ends up happening is that you get more defects when you work faster, quote unquote, like that. So you have to come back after to fix those defects. So the time that you supposedly saved, you have to make up again at the back end to fix those defects. So, and because you're fixing a defect, it never is as good as fixing a defect is never as good as just doing it right the first time, right? So you just want to make sure that it gets done right the first time. So perhaps when there is a delay, the best thing to do is to just sort of, rather than trying to make up that time, just cop that delay, see if you can cop it to make it so that the tradies that have to come one after the other aren't working on top of each other, right? Or if they are, it's managed well. So you have to be, when there's a delay in the job and there's a bunch of tradies, on a job at once, to try to make up the time, and the builder's not there, quit. Your heart's not in it, go away. Sorry, can't do it. All right. Days like that, it's essential for the builder to be there before the first tradie and after the last tradie, right? Making sure that everything gets done correctly, making sure that when they're stepping on top of each other, they're not making mistakes. You know what I mean? That's when you need more care and attention, right? When there's delays and it's turned into like a little bit of a clusterfuck. That's when you need to be more on top of your game. But what I find happens is that all these problems overwhelm the builder, and they stop coming to work because it's too stressful at that point. because they've ruined the job site for themselves. I'd say at that point, if they're stressed out and they don't want to come to the job anymore, they need to take a self-care day. I'd say perhaps take Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and you know what, even Monday, you know, because it sucks to be well rested and to come back to work on the hardest day of the week, which is always Monday, because you have to fix all the screw ups from, the people rushing to get stuff finished by Friday or Saturday. Um, Take a self care day, you know, uh, sleep in, don't drink any alcohol, don't do any drugs, just sleep, rest, switch off your phone and disconnect. 100% switch off your phone and disconnect. Have a long bath, go for a swim in a warm pool. Fitness first, swimming pools are 30 degrees and above. I think they're 31 degrees normally, right? So just floating around in a lovely warm pool like that really takes the stress away. Jacuzzi, sauna, lovely, right? Because all of your problems, I understand, you think stem from the job site, which perhaps they do, but all those problems are turning into mountains rather than molehills, right? You need to take time off and disconnect, right? So those mountains dissipate back into molehills. Communication is so essential. Be a good orator, be good at interpersonal relationships, right? Be a good communicator, because that's going to be an essential component. You need to keep on top of your tradies. Hey, what's going on? Are you going to make this deadline? Make sure we start this date. Okay, I noticed that you weren't able to finish X, Y, Z. I'm a little bit concerned. Are we going to meet the deadline? X, Y, Z. That's the conversation that you need to have, not this secret conversation that you have to yourself, like, oh man, why is the builder so, why is the carpenter so crap and delayed? Oh man, he's stressing me out and I can't speak to him because I'm insecure. That's the internal monologue. That's the true, internal monologue of a poor builder. Um, yeah, I don't know whether my family can do that. I really don't. And when I say my family, I'm talking about Saeed. He resisted any form of growth at all in the last 10 years in terms of, construction and development or whatever. Yeah, very simple-minded sort of thinking. With all due respect, Saeed is a builder that thinks like a laborer, right? And I always thought that was a shame. I was waiting, for him and his brother to begin to sort of step up and, prove that they're builders and they understand, development and management and anything. And unfortunately, what I found was that they were sort of struggling to step out of the shadow of their father, an experienced laborer. Um, and that's not to denigrate their father by any means. It's just to say that they haven't progressed past. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. They haven't progressed past thinking of themselves as mere laborers. Yeah, and even a general. Oh, and sorry. Regardless, let me also just greatly emphasize this point. Nothing wrong with being a laborer. Absolutely not. Tolstoy devoted a whole chapter to how amazing it makes you feel to do something physical, to work hard, physical toil, labor. I love it as well. Nothing wrong with that. But we progress, right? We we grow out of that phase and we become teachers that teach laborers and tradies and that. We become builders. We become leaders in the community that help laborers, rise up and become builders, traders, businessmen, right? That's where my mind's at, in relation to building, construction, management, timetables. Yeah, yeah. I think I've covered quite a lot. And by the way, if I seem stupid and delusional, and if I'm getting anything wrong, right? If there's something that you want to add, or if you think I'm being too unfair, right, about how I'm describing like laborers, I suppose, and people that don't manage their job properly, yeah, let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe, and share. Yeah, why not? All right. Love you. Bye.